Carleton.
Well, on October 28, 2020, the finance minister promised Canadians they would have deflation. For the Prime Minister's benefit, that means prices go down. Today, the Bank of Canada confirmed that we have inflation. Again, for those who don't think about monetary policy, that means prices go up. So everything they said would go down is going up, and everything they said is going up is now going down. Now that the Prime Minister has himself spinning in circles and saying his own name here on the floor of the House of Commons, will he finally admit that what we have in this country is Justin...
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we've seen over the past many weeks Conservatives simply try to play attacks and fling mud and lay blame and distract when the reality is Canadians deserve support. Canadians deserve a government like ours that continues to invest to support them with historic investments in infrastructure and housing, with supports for families and seniors. The Conservatives continue to complain that we were investing too much through the beginning of this pandemic to support Canadians. And what we've seen is our economic recovery is actually better than most of our peers because we were there for Canadians.
The honourable member for Carleton.
Well, the Prime Minister got confused when he was asked, what is this famous middle class he's always talking about? It turned out, he said, it's those people who live off their income instead of their assets. Except that inflation hits folks who live off income the hardest because their paycheck is worth less, while helping those people, like him, who live off of ancestral assets. Their assets appreciate and inflate in value. So maybe the reason he doesn't think about inflation is because he benefits from it. For example, can the Prime Minister tell us how much his mansion in the Laurentians has inflated in price since he took office?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Again, Mr. Speaker, we see the Conservatives choosing to focus on me when they should be focused, like we are, on Canadians. We will continue to be there to invest in countering this housing crisis with real investments from municipalities, as opposed to the member from Carleton's suggestion that we give tax breaks to wealthy landlords to help them sell their buildings. That's not what's going to help Canadians afford their first homes or retire in safety. That is the kinds of thing the Conservatives propose when we propose concrete investments in helping Canadians through. We promise to have their backs, and despite what the Conservatives say, we will continue to have their backs.
Pierre's got another one.
Is there another? Okay. The honourable member for Carleton.
Well, speaking of wealthy landlords, I have here the financial stability report from the Bank of Canada, which shows that since this Prime Minister started pumping $400 billion into the financial system, wealthy landlords have seen a 100% increase in the mortgage lending they've been able to acquire. Wow. Cheap debt for the wealthy investor class, high inflation for the working class. You see, more dollars chasing fewer goods means higher prices. Does the Prime Minister realize that every time he takes a trip to the central bank, Canadians have to go over to the food bank?